Right now, coming on the ways of organizing purchasing and supply function, um, we an organization should actually come up with some policies and systems of organizing the purchasing to ensure that there is a proper management of the procurement department. And so, some of the ways that are used by most of the companies or by most of the purchasing departments to ensure that there is proper organization or proper purchasing system are systems like centralization policy. And as we understand from the previous discussions, that centralization policy is a policy of warehouse organization whereby all the functions of the company are centralized to one department, or rather, they are left to an expert department to handle those functions. And therefore, that department is the central department or the central procurement section for the organization that will carry out all the activities that are related to procurement to ensure that all the departments, all the branches have procured, or rather they have acquired their materials according to the regulations of the organization, according to the policies of the organization. So some of the advantages that we get from the centralized policy are advantages like the advantage of bulk purchases, whereby when a company has centralized its purchases, whereby the purchases are consolidated, that we procure goods on behalf of all the departments and the branches, then we are able to buy these goods in bulk. And when we buy these goods in bulk, we shall benefit from the quantity discount, which now will also enable the price to come down, or rather to reduce, and that is a benefit to the organization. Another benefit or advantage of centralization policy is where the policies and procedures of work are uniform or are made uniform across, because we are working under a unified policy that will enable all the departments responsible actually be able to respond to a single point of procurement, and that the policies are unified to an extent that now the procedures, the responsibilities of the workers or the staff in the procurement are made easy to understand, and that we can work under a policy that is so effective for all of us. So the policies and procedures of work are uniform. Another benefit that we got was that it helps in avoiding irritation of the vendors or suppliers because of having a number of contracts with the company. So a centralized policy will help an organization or a buyer to support the suppliers in a way that they are not irritated that much. They are not irritated because they respond to one single point. The procurements are operating from one central point, and that we can be able to respond to that particular point or that single point, and at the end of the day, efficiency is enhanced. A centralized policy also has ever led to enhanced specialization of works. Is the staff that are needed to operate from the central point should be specialized on that area, and that really enhances efficiency in performance because due to increased specialization, that the company is able to achieve its objectives because there is value from the staff, what we call the human resource, and that enhances efficiency in performance. So it facilitates better control and coordination of purchasing activities. A centralized policy ensures better control and coordination of the procurement activities because the management is from one department, and they ensure that a proper coordination is ensured between the department itself and other functional departments to enhance efficiency in performance. There is also a benefit of being easy to supervise and control the functions of procurement because it is only a single department that is managed by the procurement officer, and that now we are able to manage, to supervise and control the staff and also control the function, the activities thereof effectively. Those are the advantages that we have, and there are some challenges that we face. Some of the challenges of centralized policy are challenges like we don't benefit from the discounts. Most of the okay, what is a centralized policy? As we and understood before, that a single department is responsible for managing the activities or the functions. But now you'll find that the company has branches that are located in far away places. It will not be suitable, a very suitable system, because there is increased transport cost. So that means that the Central Department of Procurement is the one to supplement and even to sufficiently supply all the goods to all the other branches, which may increase the transport cost of the organization. So that is one of the disadvantages or the challenges that is faced by a centralized policy or procurement organization. Another challenge that we are facing is that purchases are made by a purchasing department only. It is only the purchasing section that will carry out the activity of procurement, and therefore the users are usually not in a position to make better purchases. Because now, if the users were to buy or buy themselves, they could have bought the very the best, or rather what they consider to be the best as far as they are concerned. But the responsibility of procurement has been given to only one department, that is called procurement. And you see, now they have to place their requisitions with procurement. They have to request the purchasing department to buy goods on their behalf. That becomes a challenge, right? A lot of time, number three, is taken to make purchases through the purchasing department. So the procurement section will have to follow the due procedures that are there. The procurement section will have to follow the methods that are laid down for the procurement process. And therefore, a lot of time is spent in procuring the goods. That's a challenge that may be faced. There is also a delay in the replacement of defective materials, because the procurement section has consolidated the purchases and it buys goods on behalf of all the departments, and therefore some delays may be experienced when we are procuring or replacing the defective materials for the departments. And again, there is increased workload. A lot of work is involved in the procurement process, and therefore the staff thereof are involved in a lot of work, which may affect their efficiency because they are human beings. So therefore, that will affect the staff. A lot of work and workload involved in the procurement process. I hope that is clear, because we are getting this also from what we have done before, the challenges or the disadvantages of centralized policy. Okay, the other policy or method of purchasing organization or a system of purchasing organization is a decentralized system. Decentralized system is where every department is given an opportunity to procure on their own. This is a system that will enable every department purchase goods on their own. They have an authority to procure their own goods. They are independent in their own way, and therefore all the branches are free to procure their own goods. All the departments are free to purchase their own goods, and at the end of the day, then you'll find that every department or branch has purchased their own goods. That is now contrary to what we've understood from the centralized policy. In this case, the system is a bit devolved, in that every department will have to be managed by a certain officer who is in charge of every branch or department to ensure that these functions runs, or rather are coordinated effectively. What are the advantages of decentralized policy? Number one says materials can be purchased by each department as and when required. They can buy these goods when they require at their own decision. They are not controlled by the top management, so you'll find that there is a relief that they can procure these goods when they require or when need arises, and they are not controlled by the top management. And again, number two, there is a benefit of choice. Because decentralization is given an autonomy of freedom to operate in a way that they can choose what to buy, they can choose when to buy, and that is a benefit to the decentralized policy. So number three says it is better where the various branches of an organization are quite big and located in different regions. Yeah, you see now, when the branches are located in different regions, it is better for the organization in terms of now giving every department freedom to buy their own goods, giving every department an opportunity or every branch an opportunity to operate on their own, and that gives the manager of the company or the CEO of the company just very easy time to ensure that all these departments can run on themselves, and that now they can be able to even assist in achieving the objectives of the company. It helps in avoiding delays in getting materials. Materials can also be procured from the local market, because now at branch level we don't require help from the central point. We don't require the central procurement to supply or rather to procure goods for us. So that is a benefit to the organization. And then there is a benefit of time, because the approval of the purchase order takes a shorter time and hence making the purchases be made very immediately. So we don't have to follow a long procedure for us to get the materials that we need. We are operating within our department, we are operating within our branch, and that we can just have a procedure that is very appropriate for us to procure these goods according to the way we want. The supervisor of the procurement, the officer in charge, will have to coordinate the activities effectively, coordinate the staff available so that the goods are procured within the shortest time possible. We can follow a procedure that is not complicated, because we are not consolidating orders in this case. Number six says the replacement I start. Yes, good afternoon. Yes, we are here for purchasing management, and I want us to begin from the introduction. As we had gone through the course outline, it was very clear about the topics that we are there to cover, and we understood that as far as the course coverage is concerned, that we are beginning from the introduction of purchasing to understand the meaning of purchasing. We have to get the objectives of purchasing and supply function. There was importance of purchasing and supply function, and there are ways of organizing purchasing and supply function. Those are the areas that I want us to examine so that we can understand how the procurement in an organization can be managed. As we understood the other day, that procurement is a very important department in an organization that enables a company to acquire all the procurement requirements or materials needed for the purpose of the organizational operations. So the course outline was very clear as we analyzed it last week, and therefore we are starting now to understand the meaning of procurement. Procurement and purchasing are just words that have the same meaning, and in an organization, what we are doing is to ensure that the company will acquire all the materials that are needed for the purpose of operational, or for the purpose of ensuring that the operations are properly managed. And therefore, it is the responsibility of the purchasing department to ensure that all these materials are managed. In the hierarchy of management, purchasing is recognized, or procurement department is recognized as a very vital department that will add value in ensuring that all goods that are needed are made available. So therefore, going through our course outline, we want to define purchasing. And purchasing has been one of the areas that will enable the company be able to have everything that it requires. So purchasing is a process of acquiring materials by an organization, by a manufacturing organization, or even an enterprise for the purpose of ensuring that these materials can add value in the operations of the company. So the company may acquire these materials through buying. It can acquire through leasing or any other legalized way, so that there are no stoppages in production, there are no lapse, there is no lapse in any operation of the company, and that will enable the company to operate very effectively. So according to what we have, or in the notes that I sent there, you can access these notes and then be able to see what we wrote. Purchasing is also referred to as procurement, which is an important part in the efficient materials management together with supply. Purchasing or procurement therefore ensures the availability, ensures that the company has all these materials that are needed available. That is, the availability of the right items in the right price and goods of the right quantities, as well as quality. So the company or the department of procurement will ensure continuous availability of all the materials that are needed so that it can continue operating effectively. Procurement or purchasing is therefore defined, or rather, procurement or purchasing is therefore defined as the process of acquisition or buying of goods or services for the organization from the supply source. So procurement, being the very important area of buying, ensures that the company will have all the materials that are needed. Procurement, sometimes, the authors will have to define these terms in different ways. Sometimes they tell us that procurement is a bit broader than purchasing, because maybe procurement may involve many procedures. There are those procedures that must be followed. We have to acquire goods in large quantities, and that we have to follow some other regulations to ensure that we have met the requirements and have all these materials available in our organization Purchasing, they will tell us that it is the outright purchase, whereby we shall just buy goods directly from the supplier, but at the end of the day, these terms are just having the same meaning. They have the same meaning. So therefore, the major idea is to acquire the materials that are needed by the organization so that we can have the operations of the company running effectively. Okay, so in an organization, the department in charge of buying materials required by an organization is referred to as purchasing department or procurement. The procurement activities must be performed or carried out by qualified staff with high ethical standards, together with procedures supported by appropriate policies and regulations. That is very true. Companies are looking for qualified personnel in the area of procurement to ensure that there is value and there is that act of professionalism, so that we can discharge our responsibilities effectively, as well as ensuring that the company will be in the forefront when it comes to functioning effectively, and that if the company has a department that comprises of qualified personnel in the area of procurement, then this company is able to respond to its customers effectively. It is able to buy goods from the supply sources effectively. It is able to adhere to the ethical standards and regulations that are laid down by the government, because we understand procurement is a very sensitive area that requires professionals to actually be part of it, and that ensures, or rather that should ensure that the efficiency is enhanced in terms of meeting the requirements of the organization, because we are buying goods from the supply sources, and we want to ensure that the goods made available in the organization are the right materials. Now, moving forward, because I understand that the definition is clear, you're not very clear on that, then we have to understand the objectives of purchasing, or even importance of purchasing. Now, getting to understand purchasing from the perspective of objectives, purchasing is one of the areas that is governed by principles, and the principles of procurement ranges from the right quality. One of them is the right quality. One of the principles of purchasing is the right quality, because the department of purchasing must maintain the right quality, to buy goods of the right quality that can satisfy the customers, to buy goods of the right quality that can satisfy the buyer, now which is the organization itself, so that we can add value to customer service levels. Another one is the right quantity. Right quantity is another principle of procurement, and that is where we buy goods that will meet the requirements of the organization in terms of quantity, so that we can meet our customer requirements, and that we can have the goods that are able to sustain the demand arising as far as customer demand is concerned. So the quantity is another area that is very important. Another principle of purchasing, which is part of objective, is right time. Yes, procurement must maintain the right time. The goods that are bought by the company should be delivered at the right time. It is a very important aspect in procurement that ensures that we can be able to operate, or rather we can be able to manage our operations within the time prescribed, and that we can be able to meet the buyer's requirements as well. So time is very important, and what procurement does is that if there is any suspicion that there may be some delays, then the management of procurement will have to carry out an exercise that is referred to as expediting of orders, so that it can be able to follow up. Expediting of orders is an activity that involves follow-ups, where we follow up the suppliers. We try to make telephone calls as part of follow-ups. We can make personal visit to suppliers, so that we can influence or induce them to deliver these goods within the time prescribed. We can also send some emails and some kind of communication that will enable the supplier realize that these goods should be delivered on time for us to continue with our operations. That is right time. And in the course of the study, although I know we understand this from the supply chain, management and purchasing principles, we understand that the period between ordering and delivery, or what you call the time that elapses from when you place a requisition until deliveries are made, that period or time is referred to as lead time. And lead time is the one that is guiding us in this discussion as far as right time is concerned, so that we can be able to meet the customer requirements as far as time is concerned. That is right time as another principle of purchasing. Another principle of purchasing is maintenance of the right source. Right source is where goods are coming from. Goods are coming from the supplier, meaning that that source of supply should be the right source in terms of reliability, whereby the supplier to supply the goods is reliable enough to supply or deliver these goods according to our requirements. So the process of tendering, the process of sourcing that was followed could have been a very comprehensive process and very competitive process that enabled this company to get a reliable supplier who is considered to be the right source. I hope that is clear. The right source. Another principle of procurement is the right price. Right price is a very important principle in procurement, and it's about maintaining the right price, whereby the purchasing department will be able to ensure that the supplier who supplies goods is the supplier that quoted the right price, and that will enable the buyer be able to gain confidence that now this price is the right price, and that now the right price could be the lowest bidder. In procurement, we say the tender is awarded to the lowest bidder. We have to evaluate the prices effectively, holding factors constant that the quality was the same among the bidders that were pre-qualified, and that the price remains the very important factor to consider, so that we can be able to add value in the profitability of this organization. So what I mean is that price is a very important principle that governs procurement, or rather purchasing, or it's a right of purchasing. Another principle that is very important is right place. You know, procurement should ensure that goods or materials, or what we call procurement requirements, are delivered to the right place. Right place is that destination that was part of the agreement in the contract, that goods will be delivered to that destination. So that's another principle that is governing procurement function. And right place can also be part of logistics as well, because when goods are bought from the supply source, the delivery system or the delivery process is followed by, or rather is accompanied by logistics, and transport element is there to ensure that physically these goods are made available to the right place. So that is clear, and I hope that I've mentioned the principles. That was the right quality, right quantity, right time, right price, right source, right place. Okay, when we begin to understand what we had discussed there, because your notes are very clear, you know, that was just a summary of the main principles that will govern the procurement. But now, according to the notes that we have the objectives, the very key objectives that are the objectives of purchasing. So the first one, according to your notes, are to maintain the standard of quality. To maintain the standard of quality, that is to ensure that the quality that has been supplied is the right quality, as you mentioned, being part of the principles of purchasing. To maintain a continuity of supply. It is the objective of the purchasing to ensure that there is continuous supply of the materials that are needed in the organization, so that we can enable the operations to run without fail and without any stoppage. So the purchasing function must ensure a continuous availability of material supplies and equipment in order to maintain the production schedule and avoid interruptions in production. That is in a manufacturing industry. Number three was avoidance of duplication of waste and obsolescence. Yes, it is the objective of the procurement to avoid duplication of waste. Wastage, duplication of waste, that is, and obsolescence. There are some wastes that are in supply chain that may cause interruptions, and we are trying as much as possible that we don't waste time, we don't waste resources and all that, and we don't duplicate this waste, and that we avoid any cases of obsolescence. Obsolescence is that aspect of a material becoming outdated. So in procurement, we are very keen to ensure that we identify those items that are becoming outdated, so that we can plan for dispose. We can plan for the disposition, so that they are taken out of the company, they are sold, and that they are out of our organization, and that now we can even add value as we sell these materials. So that is clear. And yes, to develop alternative sources of supply, that is another objective of the procurement. Purchasing department ensures that every other time there is a bidders list that enables an organization be able to have an alternative supply source. In case maybe the first supplier has failed, then we can be able to contact the other supplier for us to have a continuity in our operations as far as supplies are concerned. So what happens is that among the list of the bidders, especially the registered suppliers, then we must, or rather we have to ensure that in that list we have eligible suppliers that are able to add value, and they are turned to as an alternative, so that we can be able to continue with our operations. And in other areas of study, we also understand that the number two, you see now in the list of bidders, in the evaluation process, when we were ranking the suppliers according to their appropriateness, number one is the one that won the tender. So who was number two? The immediate number two supplier at some point can qualify to be now the next alternative, so that we can continue with our operations. Then another objective that was discussed there was to keep the inventory losses at a minimum by adopting a just-in-time inventory system. That is to buy goods when the need arises, not to buy goods when there is no need. So the procurement section must ensure that they buy goods when there is need. That is a method of purchasing, or rather a technique of purchasing, or a method of stock control that is called just-in-time, that ensures that we can be able to buy goods when it is the right time to buy, and we can be able to make them available just when they are required, not just when they are not required. So that enables the purchasing section actually to manage the procurement processes effectively, right? Yes, another objective there is to enhance coordination and cooperation with the other functional departments in an organization. The purchasing department should work very closely with the other departments to enhance efficiency, or to ensure efficiency, and that is where the purchasing department is actually receiving requisitions from other departments in case of need to buy. They are coordinating with the user departments to ensure that all materials that are needed to be bought are made available, or rather the procurement can understand everything that requires to be bought, and that it can plan for procurement effectively. What I mean is that purchasing department should work very closely and coordinate with other departments to ensure that they understand their need, and that they can be able to receive their needs at the very good time, so that plan for procurement is made, and that we can have these materials made available on time when they are required. I hope that is clear. And then yes, others are there, like maintaining goodwill relationship with the other suppliers, or rather with the suppliers. It is the procurement that is linking the company with the suppliers. So we and the suppliers will have to maintain good relationship, but this link is connected, or rather this link is enabled by this procurement by ensuring that we can relate very well with the suppliers. Right. That part of objective is clear from your hand. I believe that your notes are very clear on that. Then moving forward, because now we are on the part of introduction, trying to understand procurement. Then we have the key activities in material procurement, or key activities involved in the procurement of the materials. What are the key activities involved in the procurement of materials? Quality assurance activities. Those are very important activities that are carried out to ensure that we can maintain the right quality and that we can operate within the quality standards that are required within the law, within the statutory requirements, within the regulations of the government, and even operating within the Procurement Act, the Public Procurement and Asset Disposal Act of 2015 declares that we should be operating within the right quality standards, so that our customers can enjoy our services. Purchasing for safety. Purchasing for safety is another area activity that is very important, and when we create an environment that is very safe as far as procurement is concerned, what kind of goods are we purchasing from the supply sources? And now some of the goods that we purchase from the supply sources are procured for safety, so that we can have some kind of other equipments that are called upon, in case of any problem. So to ensure that we have all what we need. Safety can also refer to a situation whereby we have everything that we need, so that in case of any emergencies, we have all the materials that we need. We need to keep buffer stocks. Buffer stocks, we understood from warehousing, are the stocks that are used in case of any emergency, are the stocks that are used in case of any need for protection. They are the safety stocks. We call them emergency stocks, protection stocks, that enables an organization to have everything it requires, so that in case of any need that we have, and we want to ensure that we connect everything well, we have all these materials available in our organization. Okay. Another activity is the transparency. Transparency is a very important activity in procurement. Transparency are matters of